Alright, I don't know exactly how to pronounce the name of this. I think it's UPOL. I don't think it's UPOL. You could just say UPOL. I don't know. But I've used their products before, and I want to say I've always had pretty good results with some of it. I've never used their body filler. So on this particular piano shell, first of all, shout out to Whiskey Palm in Rockport, Texas. They were paying me to build this brand new piano shell for this bar that they're opening, and it's a wonderful place. If you're ever out in Rockport, check it out. And I kept running out of body filler, and it's just because it takes so much to do a piano shell. I've done a few of these things before, but every single time it just, it seems like there's so many cans I end up going through. And for whatever reason, in my town, all the normal stuff that I use, it's like the stores were running out of it. I guess we're still having supply issues with certain things. And I ended up finding this one at a local auto parts store, and I figured I'd give it a try. They actually said that it was one of their best sellers, and I want to say the stuff was actually $10 or $15 cheaper than the Bondo brand. So I was like, okay, I gotta give it a try. I figured I would do a nice review on it, so if anybody else was wondering how this stuff works, maybe it'll give you guys the answers that you're looking for. So I'm trying out this UPOL, and I've seen this brand in the body shop world. I've just never tried their body filler. And I can already tell you it smells the same as Bondo and all the other brands. It feels about the same consistency wise. But here's what I like. The can is like 5/6 of the way full. I mean, the Bondo is usually maybe 3/4 if you're lucky. It's ridiculous. So I guess they do it by weight, but this one already has more product, so that's already a win. And I don't know, we'll see. I think it's gonna work fine. So right there, just straight off the line, I can already tell that if they even changed anything in this filler, well, there is one thing that they might have changed, because I could actually tell a positive difference, but we'll get to that in a minute. But for anything that might have been changed, you can tell by the smell and the consistency that this is going to be a product that you're already used to working with. There's no big changes that are going to make you feel like you're going to have issues because you're messing with something that you're unfamiliar with. If you've worked with Bondo and other body fillers before, you can tell it's pretty straight up, nothing too different with the consistency. Now also, that's a big pro, having more in the can. I mean, just going from maybe a 3/4 full Bondo can to this one being almost probably 5/6 of the way full, you get more product. And if you're fixing small dents on a vehicle or just little places here and there, that extra bit is going to go a long way. So that's kind of a cool thing. And of course, the fact that the price is cheaper, I feel like you already can't really beat it. So we'll get a little bit further, get some of this stuff spread on the piano shell, and I'll tell you what it was that I really thought was great about this product. So spreading this stuff went pretty smooth. I feel like it worked pretty much like any other body filler product, and it did seem to lay out really nice. I didn't have any excessive bubbles or anything like that. Also, I noticed that when I used this filler and I went to prime later, there weren't a ton of pinholes. So this filler seems to be good about not having little air pockets in it, and that's a good thing. Now, before we get to sanding, there was one thing I had mentioned a little earlier about this filler that I thought was really cool. And I think I went through 2 cans, or I went through 1 full can and I ended up getting another can of it, so I have some left over. But there was something that I felt like I noticed, and I think the most annoying thing about most body fillers is that when you go to sand them, you typically have to take either the cheese grater or a rag with some lacquer thinner and try to wipe the top of that filler off, because it seems like they all dry with some kind of a thin sticky layer on top. And of course, if you take even some 80 or 40 grit sandpaper, a lot of times you start trying to rough through it and that sticky layer just clogs up your sandpaper really bad, and it's not until you get through that you can actually sand it a little bit more freely without, going through another piece of paper. So I thought what was really cool with this one is it seems to dry a little bit better on top and not have that whole sticky layer that I hated so much on other body fillers. And even if it had a little bit here and there, maybe it was the day and the weather conditions, I don't know, but I feel like working with this body filler allowed me to sand it a little bit more freely, fresh on the top. As soon as it pretty much cured and you knew that it was ready to sand, it seemed like that little sticky layer was either pretty non-existent or it was at least a lot less than other body fillers. And that to me just was really a cool thing. I mean, if you're going to start sanding it with 80, typically the little sticky layer will just clog that paper right up and it pretty much ruins it. You got to take another piece, or like I said, use the lacquer thinner to wipe the top. So that was pretty cool, and I think if all body filler companies would try and figure this one out and try to get rid of that little sticky layer on top, it could make our job a lot easier when you're trying to sand body work. And typically if it's a small repair, it's not really that big of a deal, but when you're doing something huge like a piano shell and you're covering a really big area, a lot of surface, it's really annoying if you have to go and try to scrape off this little sticky residue of the Bondo that isn't really hard on top. And I don't even think mixing extra hardener really helps. I mean, I know some people who are over harden the Bondo or the filler and it'll dry super fast. I mean, that's another thing. I'll sometimes put in about the minimal hardener because I'm trying to get more work time out of that body filler. And after so many years, you kind of learn your limits. Like, okay, I can add this much, it's still gonna cure, but you might wait a little bit longer. And like I said, that's gonna give you the time that you need to work with a larger amount sometimes. But no matter how I've mixed filler in the past, I feel like I've always had that problem, whether I felt like I was running the hardener a little thin or if I was running it hot. It seems like I always get that little sticky layer on top. So it's super annoying. I think this filler may have solved a little bit of that problem, and I'll be glad to keep working with it in the future as well. Now, it might be a super minute difference, but I want to say this filler may have been a little bit harder when it was cured. And that would also make sense why the annoying sticky layer was gone, because if the filler's drying a little bit better, or curing, should I say, it's probably going to end up a little bit harder too. So the sanding might have been a tad bit slower, but it's almost immeasurable. If anything, it was just kind of the sense that I was getting from it, like, wow, okay, this is a little bit harder to sand, but it wasn't clogging up the paper, which is great. So maybe you had a little bit more of a forgiving bit to work with. Maybe if you're used to doing body work and you cut through some fillers a little bit too quick and have to add more, maybe this one will save a little bit of that. If it is a little bit harder, like I said, it would be almost an immeasurable difference, but it seemed to sand really nice, and it filled the spots that I needed to fill with it. So overall, I was really happy with this stuff, and the shell got done. It looked great. We weren't going for a super perfectly straight glass smooth finish. Waviness was okay on this one because nobody was really trying to be that picky about the piano shell that's going to get used and abused in a piano bar. But as far as all the immediate divots and things like that, we were able to work a lot of stuff out, and the filler worked great. Like I said, I'm gonna pretty much continue to buy this stuff as long as it's available. It's a great product. Alright, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the review on this UPOL body filler. Definitely give it a try. If you're looking at body filler and you find it at the store, grab a can of the stuff. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Hopefully they continue to sell this stuff because I like it so far. Thank you guys for all the continued support out there. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Also, I'm thinking about doing a full DIY video on that Whiskey Palm piano shell. Now I know I have a few other videos of the exact same thing, but what's cool about this shell is I did a few things different this time. So if you guys like that, throw it in the comments if you'd like me to do that video. And otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. We do have more coming up for the Vader build as well. So make sure you guys stick around. It's going to be an awesome car, and we're hoping to have it finished up by the summer of 2023. Thank you guys so much out there, and we'll see you on the next one.